Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and I think you're on the tilt. Is that better? I don't know, because I don't think my head's on straight, so I think a few people said that. Anyway, definitely think we're on the tilt. Are we? Goodness. Well, if I am, you'll just have to deal with it, I'm afraid. Hello and welcome to my channel, Fictional Latitude. I'm Deborah. I hope you're all well and you've been enjoying the Easter break, or whatever break you may have at this time of year. Here it was persisting down, which was really good news, actually. Not so good news for the people who wait all year for their massive Easter processions with the troners, and you know, they really are a spectacle here, but the majority of them were rained off because it really was almost biblical proportions. Well, it wasn't that bad, but it did rain a lot, so most of those got put off. But I was glad because the drought has been bad, and it now means that my garden and the mountains are green, which is fabulous. And my beautiful fig tree has come out with lots and lots of leaves. I mean, if you follow my Instagram as well, you will have seen a picture yesterday, I think it is, I posted it, or 2 days ago, whenever, of me hugging my fig tree. And now this isn't something that I made up. I do this probably every other day. I'm out there giving my fig tree particularly a hug and a little pep talk, and telling it how much I love it, what have you, because I planted it a year or so after I moved into this house, and I love it, along with the lemon tree. And I do love having a garden, and my fig tree provides me with fruit in the summer, so, you know, mutual thing. And I think that that's the best way to introduce the first of the books that I have read during February and March. And it is Elif, I don't know which side to do it. Let's do it this side. Elif Shafak's The Island of Missing Trees. And I loved this book so much. And one of the points of view, one of the narrators, is a fig tree that came from Cyprus to London, and her owner, who brought her over, is burying her because one of the big storms is coming, and of course, being a Mediterranean fig, she would not be able to deal with a massive winter storm up in the north of Europe. It's marvellous, but I mean, Shafak writes so beautifully. It's poetic prose, and the subject matter that she talks about is difficult, but at the same time it is something that we all have to deal with at some point during our lives. So in this book, it is about grief, it's about family, it's about culture, about losing, gaining, having multiple cultures, how they feed off each other, how they fight against each other, and she brings it all together. So basically this is about Cyprus, about the division of Cyprus between the Greeks and the Turks, with the Brits, as usual, in the middle of it all. And a couple, oh gosh, I got it wrong. I'd almost got it wrong. He's Greek, she's Turkish, and they fall in love, and then they part ways with the division of Cyprus. They also are divided, but then they get back together. They have a daughter. They're living in London, and he's brought the fig tree with him. And their daughter has to deal with the fact that she hasn't seen any of her family because of the fact that they are, a Greek-Turkish couple. But her mother's now dead, and so there's this reunion and acceptance now. And anyway, it goes through the history of the couple, basically the history of the division of Cyprus, and also this is a love letter to nature, because the fig tree tells us about how all the different animals work together, how the trees talk to each other. There's this communication that we don't understand within nature, and because we're humans, we just expect everything, that there can't be any intelligence, there can't be any communication unless there's a brain, and the fig tree tells us otherwise. And there are just so many, as you can see, I have lots of little stickers for all the bits that I really, really liked. But one of the things was, hate's a strong word, isn't it? I really do not like the smell of cut grass. It's one of those things I really don't like. Everyone else goes, oh, isn't it lovely? I'm like, no. And so the first thing that I put a little sticky on, and the green ones are for nature, and I don't know, I've actually forgotten all the other bits are for now, but the fig tree is speaking. It says, where are we going to start? Or that a tree's rings do not only reveal its age, but also the traumas it has endured, including wildfires, and thus, carved deep in each circle is a near-death experience, an unhealed scar. Or that the smell of a freshly mown lawn, that scent humans associate with cleanliness and restoration and all things new and zestful, is in fact another distress signal issued by grass to warn other flora and ask for help. Things we humans don't know. Anyway, absolutely beautiful. I would highly recommend this. This is a 5-star read. Another 5-star read, I'm just checking on my laptop what I actually gave them, because otherwise I'm going to say they're all 5 stars, and they're not, is The Book of Beginnings by Sally Page. And this is about friendship, and particularly about best friends. And then thrown in the mix, stationery and books. I mean, yay. So, I'll read from the back. Jo Sorsby is hiding from her past when she agrees to run her uncle's beloved stationery shop. Glimpsing the lives of her customers between the warm wooden shelves as they scribble notes and browse colourful notebooks distracts her from her bruised heart. When she meets Ruth, a vicar running from a secret, and Malcolm, a septuagenarian still finding himself, she suddenly realises she isn't alone. And this was so, I'm going to say beautiful again. I feel like I'm repeating myself, which I am. It's about, it truly is about friendship, and how you can meet people at the right time in your life to help you get through whatever it is that you're going through at that point. Good or bad, but usually bad, isn't it? And they are just an unlikely trio. A runaway vicar, a 70-year-old man, and a woman dealing with heartbreak, who's basically parachuted herself into her uncle's stationery shop. He's suffering from dementia, so she said that she would help out as she's in this state of flux. And it really does resonate about friendship, and sometimes how we let our best friendships go onto the back burner when we really shouldn't, particularly when men are involved, if you're a woman, a heterosexual woman. And this is a case in point, and it really did make me think about my relationship with my best friend. We live in different countries. She is married and I'm in a relationship with my partner, but we don't communicate as much as we ought to, and we sort of let ourselves drift apart. But we don't, because when we do speak, we're straight back in there, and the connection's there, and the love is there, and it all is right. And we always say we shouldn't leave it so long, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that, but we do. We just keep repeating the circle. She deals with that as well, because there is a really nice thing in here. Is it here? Oh, I hope this isn't one where I've not... Oh, here we go. And it was about because Ruth lost her best friend. Her best friend died. Ruth being the runaway vicar. And she says here, it was devastating for her husband and family, of course, but very few people understood how I felt as her best friend. I don't think we realise what that kind of friendship can mean to someone. It doesn't have a place in how society proportions grief. She smiles sadly at Joe. Julie's death was well over 15 years ago, but I still think of her most days. I've often thought we spend too much time obsessing about finding the one, and we forget that a best friend can be a lifelong love. There is a fundamental truth, comfort and joy in having a best friend. Ruth smiles a little mistily. I think of it sometimes. All over the earth there are these unacknowledged love stories making the world a better place. I personally think it is one of humanity's best kept secrets. Which makes me feel a bit funny now. But yes, best friends. 5 stars. Not a 5-star. I'll remember this. Bernadine Evaristo's Girl, Woman, Other. This was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2020. It won the Booker Prize in 2019. Or was she? Oh, I can't remember now. No, this book won. And it is 12 interlinking stories by women. And it is well written. The stories they tell are interesting. You can see how the 4 groups of 3 all work together and link, and how you have the different perspectives of the same events and stories. But for me, and I think part of the issue is, of course, these were, not of course, but these were about black women in society, in English society, British society, plus their cultural influences as well. And, well, I'm not. And I found it very difficult, which is a failing on my part, nobody else's. I found it actually very hard to connect with the characters. So I can understand fully why Girl, Woman, Other was awarded the Booker Prize, because of the way it is written and the subject matter that it deals with and so on. But for me, I just could not find the connection. There wasn't a single thing in here that I thought, oh, that's a good line that I would want to remember, that I could reference when talking about the book. So for me, I've given it 4 stars because I recognise how brilliantly written it is. But from a personal perspective, I didn't enjoy it as much as the others. So that's why that one's a 4-star. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, a reread. And a reread of probably 40 years. Yeah, I was a teenager. I was a goth. I was all in black, and I didn't dye my hair because I wasn't allowed to. People spend lots of money trying to get red hair, Deborah. Oh yeah, okay. So I was a red-headed goth, and I read Jamaica in, and I don't think, well, no, I know I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now. But this is truly gothic. I mean, It's dark. It's based in Cornwall. Daphne du Maurier's books are based in Cornwall. It's based at Jamaica Inn, an inn on the road to Launceston, and it's set back off the road. It's got its creaky, swinging sign. It's gloomy. People don't stop there. And Mary ends up there after her mother dies with her aunt. Her aunt, who had been this vivacious, lively woman and is now a quaking shadow of herself with her husband, Joss, who is a bully and a Cornish smuggler and not a nice chap. So you have, in the best, the best Gothic form, you've got a girl striding out across the moors in the rain, getting lost. You've got her being picked up by an albino vicar. You've got her falling in love with her uncle's brother, who's also not the best bloke in the world, Jem. And then you learn more about their stories. Her uncle will go on massive alcoholic binges, and during one of those he tells her how he got a rock and smashed in the face of a woman who was drowned in the sea, carrying her child, smashed her in the face and watched her drown in 4 feet of water because they'd lured the ship onto the rocks. They can't have any witnesses. So he's an evil son of a what's that? And it's just everything is eerie. And at the end, you just think, "What are you going to do, Mary Ellen? What are you going to do?" And of course, doesn't do what you think she's going to do, and she ends up in being as bad as they are, really. But I don't want to go I'm trying to say things without giving it away. You have to read it, essentially. That's what I'm saying. This is another 5-star read. I really enjoyed it, and because it was not such good weather as well when I was reading it, added to the atmosphere. So that was brilliant. Nice fire going, rain outside. Cornwall. So Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier, a definite 5-star. Now, actually I'm going to leave that one till last. A bit of a departure from the books before is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. And I gave this I think it was a 4. Was it a 4? Yes, it was. It was a 4-star. It is a good read, as in the chapters are very short, and they are, each is from a different point of view. So it does mean that you can pick this up and put it down again very easily and just keep moving along. And if you're very tired when you go to bed one night and you've only got enough eye strength for 5 pages, well, you'll be all right. Ben is living in a Paris apartment. His half-sister has decided at the drop of a hat that she's coming over. He's not happy about this. He says it's the wrong time. But up she rocks, only to find that he's vanished. So she's trying to find out where he is, what's going on, and what all the people in this apartment block are doing, who they are, how they related to each other, what the circumstances are behind her brother's disappearance. And so it says on the back, in a beautiful old apartment block deep in the back streets of Paris, secrets are stirring behind every resident's door. The lonely wife, the party animal, the curtain twitcher, the secret lover, the watchful caretaker, the unwanted guest. There was a murder here last night. Who holds the key to the mystery of apartment 3? The reason it's got a 4-star, I had 2/3 of it sussed. So That's why. It's a bit like... There was enough of a twist for me to think, but, as I say, I had most of it worked out, so I was a bit disappointed with that, to say the least. But not to say that it isn't a good read, which it is. But it was a 4-star. The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This one... Oh, gosh, I went into the halves. Matthew Haig, The Midnight Library. This I gave 4.5 stars. I have been looking at this book for I don't know how many years and thinking, shall I buy it? Shall I buy it? And then when I was in London, I thought, buy it, Deborah. And so I did. And multi-million copy bestseller, and you can understand why. It really is an interesting way of addressing the theme of don't live your life with regrets. Essentially, Nora Seed is feeling not herself, she wants to end her life, and as she hovers in between life and death, she ends up at the Midnight Library, where you go through finding, and you can experience your different lives if you'd taken this road, if this road had happened, if this road had happened. But of course, nothing's perfect. So it's a very interesting take on that. And of course, if you want to, you can just keep flitting from life to life, or you could decide, I'm going to go for this one and go into it. And there you are. But as I say, yeah, it was I read it in one day, so it's got a good pace to it, which is very important for me. I can't stand books where I'm like, I like a constant pace. Yeah, so really enjoyable. It's not very big, as you see, so I would recommend this. It's a very good book. Don't do what I did and leave it on the bookshelf for so long. Well, the bookshop bookshelf. Okay, another 5-star read, and I have gone into more detail on this book and Joanna Cannon's Trouble with Goats and Sheep in a separate YouTube video, which I will link below. So I won't go into too much detail here. Suffice it to say, really, really enjoyed this book. It's about how reading reading certain books can bring people together, how libraries are actually a really good place to socialise. You wouldn't think they are, but they are. And each book that they read from this reading list lets them see something that's affecting them from a different way, or helps them deal with what they're experiencing. Mrs. Danvers, for example, sort of seems to hover around one of the characters. Atticus Finch, he hovers around in the background of one of the other characters in here. And the books that were on the reading list, which was found in a library book, and which brings all of the people together, is To Kill a Mockingbird, which is fabulous, Rebecca, fabulous, The Kite Runner, fabulous, Life of Pi, Pride and Prejudice, Little Women, Beloved, and A Suitable Boy. And yeah, it was a brilliant read, and as I say, I recommend you go to my other video for a more in-depth look at that. Now, the thing that happened was that, having read the reading list and Cannon's The Trouble with Goats and Sheep, and then picking up the list of suspicious things by Jennifer Godfrey, which everybody has been raving about, is that I was sadly disappointed. And this is purely because I had read the other two books very recently. I think if I'd read the other two books 2 years ago, I would have thought, yeah, this has similarities, but I would not have been quite so jaded by a similar theme. It has more in common with Cannon's book, but having said that, also with the reading list as well. I get, as a result, what did I give this? All right, Kater, what have you done with it? Oh, 4. I gave it a 4 as a result. Now, this is just, I mean, as I say, everyone's been raving about it. Based in 1979-80, when the Yorkshire Ripper he was a serial killer, for those of you who aren't British or are not or are young. Yorkshire Ripper, he was going around murdering women in Yorkshire, and he hadn't been caught, and people were starting to become very afraid. So it was really affecting, and he escalated towards the end. There was less and less time between killings in the very end. Mainly, well, anyway, let's not go into the psychology of the Yorkshire Ripper. That's for another thing, isn't it? So here we have, again, like Goats and Sheep, this is 2 friends. They're a bit older than the girls in Goats and Sheep, and they want, or one of them particularly, wants to write a list of suspicious things in order for them to try and capture the Yorkshire Ripper so that everything will get back to normal and people will be happy again. Of course, what this brings up is all the secrets that happen behind closed doors in the neighbourhood. Goats and Sheep again. See where I'm going? And there's only 3 years between the timelines as well, so off they trot. And this deals with not only the Yorkshire Ripper, but also mental health of a mother, which is where the reading list comes in. But also racism, because in the 70s, that's when we had a very large influx of Asian people coming to live in Britain. I'm just trying to think, because I was 9 in 1979, but I was trying to think how far before that, really. Thinking, well, that was quite a while. But anyway, people were reacting badly in the 70s to Asian communities, and this is also addressed in this book, and it's done very well actually, and that's also dealing with grief. So there's some grief, there's some mental health, there's secrets behind the doors in the local community, and all of this coming together as these 2 girls try and find the Yorkshire Ripper and deals with their friendship, coming of age, etc., etc. So, as you can imagine, having, as I say, only just recently read the other 2 books, I was like, again? So I felt a bit disappointed, and I would have given it more if I'd read it without those 2 having been so close. I've just realised that I've missed, I haven't got one of the books that I read. Can I see it? No, I can't. Don't know what I've done with that. How annoying. What I'll do is, because I read that at the end of March, I shall mention it in April's. That will deal with that one, won't it? So, for the final one, I am going to talk about Brother Do You Love Me? And as anyone who's been on my Instagram before will know, Manni is a friend of mine, so let's get that out there at the beginning. But this is now, so proud, this is now a New York, no, jumping the gun, Deborah, is now a Sunday Times bestseller. It's a memoir of how Manni received a text from his brother Reuben, and Reuben has Down syndrome, or Up syndrome as he likes to call it, and he'd been non-verbal for a year. He was in a really bad place, and this was a real cry for help. So Manni down tools. He spends time between here in Spain and in Dorset, and shot off to go and bronap his brother from the care home that he was in and bring him back to the man that he was before he regressed into himself. And it is a beautiful story, true story of brotherly love, and how Manni did everything he could to get Reuben back, to get Reuben believing in himself, feeling confident about himself, and expressing himself again. And if you've seen them in Britain on any of the TV shows, I think they've been on Good Morning, they've been on the BBC Breakfast Show, they've been on various things, then you will know what they're like, because you'll have seen them together. And you know that brotherly bond is immense. So, as I say, it talks about how that works, a bit about their history, their family, and it's illustrated by Rubes. So we have his little messages here. Emotional. I just want to let you know you mean the world to me, and to have you as a brother, I still feel very close to you. You always be my brother. Brother are so special. Love you. Sleep well tonight. These are little notes that he used to slip to Manni. And he would have his drawings. Rubes loves The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. So there are lots of lions in particular. So there are lots of pictures of lions and boots, and the bench, the brothers' bench, where they used to go and sit and talk and build up that relationship again. And it really is, I know I am biased, but it really is a fantastic thing. But brothers, love will find a way. And father's favourite son and special. Because he also likes Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. He also likes Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Yeah, he's great. So we have Manni and Reuben Coe's Brother, Do You Love Me? And this, if you're watching in America, this comes out on the 7th of May. And you can pre-order now. So, as I say, they're now a bestseller. And I've given this 5 stars. But it is really, really beautiful. And at the end, Manni says, this is like a postscript, an afterword. And he said, witnessing the return of his smile has been the greatest privilege of my life. And my greatest lesson is that words and pictures have the power to raise us up out of trauma, out of pain, out of darkness. If we were not able to express ourselves like this, where might we be? Fantastic. So, I hope they've been inspiring and you've enjoyed my quick whiz through my reads for February and March. I shall try not to be quite so bad on getting out a video a week, but things are a bit hectic at the moment as I'm starting up my own business, and so I sometimes run out of time. Plus, my house is like a cave when there's no sun, so I can't get enough light in here to film, unless you want me in the shadows. Maybe some of you do. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your reading, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.